Happier is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds.
Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. Lately, Jamie and I have been on a little flavor tour at Whole Foods Market. Instead of making the same 3 dinners over and over, we wander the aisles and pick a region to visit. It makes dinners feel less predictable. Last week, we leaned Mediterranean. Another time, we swung Latin-inspired. And we always keep San Pellegrino on hand because it instantly makes it feel like more of a fancy meal.
Yeah, I love that at Whole Foods Market, you can really see the savings. Explore the store for yellow signs. You'll find them aisle after aisle, highlighting sales and everyday low-price items with the same high quality. Get inspired to try something new. And if you truly don't want to cook, that's me, the prepared foods section saves me. Empanadas or burritos and dinner is just handled. Whole Foods Market makes it easy to take it easy when it's dinner time. Save on regional flavors at Whole Foods Market.
Hello and welcome to Happier, a podcast where we talk about how to be happier. This week, we'll talk about why you should propose a toast, and we will discuss many do's and don'ts about giving a good toast. Plus, we'll talk about a hack for making better snack choices. And we're not talking about making healthier snack choices, but more enjoyable snack choices. I'm Gretchen Rubin, a writer who studies happiness, good habits, and human nature. I'm in my little home office in New York City, and joining me today is my sister, Elizabeth Kraft.
That's me, Elizabeth Kraft, a TV writer and producer living in LA and a lover of snacks.
Yeah. Before we jump in, we are going to do an Ask Us Anything episode coming up for our episode 580. We haven't done one of these in a while, so send us your questions about anything related to happiness, good habits, corgis, living in New York City or Los Angeles, anything. We will tackle anything.
Yes. But first, Gretch, we have some updates. Claire said, I've just listened to your episode on Determination Day and wanted to say how useful this concept is for those of us who suffer from seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. This condition means that the low light levels in winter really sap my energy, making January and February amongst the worst months to try starting new things. For some time now, I have used a sort of meteorological spring, March 1st, as a sort of substitute New Year. At this time, the days are rapidly growing lighter, the birds are singing, and early flowers are starting to bloom, which all feels very uplifting and positive. Determination Day fits perfectly into this rhythm, and I'm going to start using February 28th as a day to review what has passed and start thinking about what I would like 2026 to bring. I'm also making a list of 26 things I can do that will bring me more joy this year.
Well, what I really love about this is, first of all, I love that she thinks that Determination Day is a useful idea because February 28th is the day to stay determined with your resolutions, because that's the day by which most people have abandoned their resolutions. But I also really like the fact that Claire has figured out a way to make things work for her. Everybody talks about New Year's resolutions, but for her, that's not a good time to do it because she feels like January and February are the hardest time for her to start something new. So she's figured out her own way. And I just think this is a great example of there's no one right way. No tool fits every hand, but often there are ways to adapt a tool that works for other people to work for us, or there's a way to figure out a way to achieve our own aims in our own way. So I just thought that this was a really pleasing way. I think the idea of tying it to the meteorological spring, it has all kinds of positive associations, and yet it's also very practical. So I thought that was a great suggestion.
Me too. And then Gretch, Missy said, I'm soon coming to my 1-year anniversary of being a listener, and I have to thank you for making my days brighter. I love your highly practical and fun ideas for improving daily life. So thank you. Thank you, Missy. Episode 540 on whimsy has stuck with me, and I wanted to share one way my husband and I add whimsy to grocery shopping. Every so often, we will shop according to a silly theme. For example, we recently did a 90s theme shop and bought foods that were all the rage in the 1990s. That meant things like Mint Milano cookies, Terra chips, and Pop-Tarts. One time, after both becoming interested in 18th century taverns, so specific, I know, we bought things that felt like they could have been served at colonial pubs. Grainy mustard, red currant jelly, and we even found a cheese with Old World in the name, which felt fitting. It's so silly and ridiculous, but also so fun scanning the aisles for things you typically wouldn't notice and then getting to eat foods you rarely eat.
How fun is this?
I know. Missy and her husband are clearly fun people, Gretch. They're the people you want to invite over for game night.
Okay, for sure. Or you want to have 18th century tavern night, dinner party with them.
Yes.
So here's my challenge to listeners. Let's make a list. Clearly, part of it is decades, 70s food, 80s foods, 90s foods, like Tang. Anyway, that's super fun. So absolutely that. But what are other funny themes that you could do? Like maybe it's like things that are multiple colors, like Neapolitan ice cream, or what's that peanut butter and jelly thing where it's like mixed in the
Yes.
do they even make that anymore?
I don't know.
What are some fun, whimsical ways of organizing meals? Maybe it's some ingredient, like everything has to include, I don't know. When I lived in San Francisco after college, my roommates and I had a color feast or a color banquet, I think we called it. And everybody had to bring something based on its colorfulness. So it was just this bizarre mixture of foods based on their colorfulness. And it was so memorable and so fun. So I think this is a great idea, and I want to build it into a whole thing. So people send us your suggestions. And then also, I wonder how I guess you could just Google it. Like, what are 90s, like food associated with the 90s? I'm not good at remembering that kind of thing, but.
When she said Mint Milano cookies, I was like, bing, bing, bing. Those are so 90s.
I think this is really fun. And I wish I had thought of this for Life in 5 Senses, because it would have been a great exercise for taste.
Yes.
And then another funny response. This comes from somebody who wants to remain anonymous for reasons that will become clear. And, you know, we had talked about using up gift cards, using up your coins, using up your gift cards. She writes, I'm terrible about spending gift cards. I stash them and often they never get used. A funny gift card incident is from Christmas this year. My mother-in-law gave me a grocery store gift card, but the grocery store is a specialty store and the nearest one is a couple hours away. I think it was given passive aggressively. She can be spiteful. So I put it on my 26 for 26 list because I'm determined to spend it. And I mean, the imaginativeness of doing this as a passive aggressive gift, I have to say, is pretty wild. So I love the idea. She's like, I'm going to go. I'm going to go spend it. Love it.
Quest is more fun than a jaunt. Your quest to the specialty grocery store.
Yes, you are going to use up that gift card. So this week, our try this at home suggestion is to propose a toast.
Yes. So often, Gretch, when we think of toast, we're thinking of toasting a couple, right? Weddings are very common places for toasts. But also, you can just do we're glad that we're all here together toast to elevate an occasion.
Right. Now, we've talked about this many times. Like, there's certain ways to elevate things. One way to elevate an object is to personalize it in some way, like put a monogram on it. Or we've talked about sometimes sending an invitation, like a digital invitation, maybe to like family Thanksgiving dinner, elevates it. I think you did that, Elizabeth, right? When you were hosting Thanksgiving, you actually sent an invitation, even though it's like, well, the whole family knows they're coming. Yeah. Or giving it a fun name.
Well, like with Thanksgiving, I called it Fierro Family Feast.
Yes.
Not an original name, but nonetheless, calling it something makes it feel more official.
It does, and it just elevates it. It just elevates it. And giving a toast elevates an occasion. It sort of announces this isn't just an ordinary night. Somebody is going to give a toast. And one of the things I would say is if you think at an occasion, if you're wondering, should I give a toast? Probably you should. Probably it is fitting. Like, you know, I was talking about my Supreme Court reunion that I organized sort of at the last minute. I said to Jamie, do you think I should give a toast or do I like have to make remarks? And he's like, absolutely, you should give a toast. And then when the time came, I thought it feels like an occasion that would benefit from having a toast. So I was very glad that I had prepared one. So it's one of those things where if you're asking yourself if you should do it, you should probably do it. So what are some of our other do's, Elizabeth, would you say, for giving a good toast?
Well, do practice.
Yes.
Which means you have to have it planned out in advance.
Yes.
I am not a fan of the off-the-cuff toast, personally.
No, practice. And I think it's fine to have notes, but you should still practice it. You shouldn't be reading it off your phone or reading it off a piece of paper. You should do that thing where you're like making eye contact with a group. You're just reminding yourself of what you're going to say next. And you should also time it. And it should be shorter than you think, a few minutes long. No one is ever sorry that somebody finished their toast quickly. Say something, say it succinctly, and practice it so you can give it in a polished, complete way, and probably cut it down quite a bit. Because you think, oh my gosh, how can I have nothing to say, but it's like that old joke of, I'm sorry I wrote you such a long letter, I didn't have time to write a short one. Mm-hmm. It's weirdly sometimes easier to give a long toast than a shorter toast.
Yes. And then decide if you're going to be funny or earnest. Know your lane. Now, many toasts can be funny and earnest. Mm-hmm. But I think the point is, if you're not confident being funny, it's maybe not the best time to start trying out your material.
Yeah, I think sometimes people feel this pressure to like be funny and then it just doesn't land and then they're uncomfortable. I always have just decided I'm going to be earnest. I'll try to be funny in my delivery or in kind of an aside look or something like that. I feel much more comfortable with earnest. And the thing that's nice about toasts is they usually are a really good opportunity to be earnest. Now, one thing that I do that really helps me when I have to give a toast is I will use a quotation. Like I will often say, okay, what is a quotation? Because I have them running through my mind, that feels appropriate to me, that elevates it. It gives it some kind of heft, and it allows you to express something in a very beautiful way, and then you can build around it. Again, with a Supreme Court toast, I was like, okay, what would I do for this toast? And as I always did, I thought, well, let me use a quotation. And I thought, well, maybe I should quote from like the inscription on the Statue of Liberty or something. And what I ended up quoting from was the Supreme Court building itself, because it has these two mottos on it. One side says justice, the guardian of liberty, and the other said equal justice under law. And every day when we would go into the building, we would see these above our heads. So it felt extremely appropriate for this group. And then I sort of built it around those quotations. And so it's just very uncomfortable to have that blank page and be like, oh, I don't know where to start, other than like, she's the greatest sister of all time. It's a quotation, I think, is a way to get the ball rolling for yourself.
Yes. And it's also great to use a key story that you can build on or just as an illustration. So again, rather than saying, oh, she's the best friend, you can say, you know, when we were in 5th grade, this happened. And now today it's still happening or whatever, you know. Specificity is key.
Yes. The more concrete, the better. Okay. So here is something that I have noticed. Try to go first, or if more than one person is giving a toast. Because if you're nervous, you have less time to be nervous. It's just like, get it over with. And also, one of the things that happens when several people are giving a toast is that often they will mention the same thing. And if you're going first or early, at least other people haven't already said the things that you have. Now, I think people who are very comfortable with giving toast could probably change their toast on the fly and just think, oh, I'm not going to mention this detail because 2 other people have already mentioned this detail. But if you're pretty nervous, you might not want to do that. You might want to stick to your script. And so going early just means that you don't have to worry about that as much. Now, ideally, I do think, especially if it's a really important occasion, you might want to coordinate with the other toasters and just say like, hey, I was thinking about talking about XYZ. What are you going to talk about? Because if 2 or 3 people, I've been in places where like 3 people have basically focused on one very small specific thing about a person's nature, just thinking that it was kind of funny and idiosyncratic. But then if everybody's talking about this one little part, it just, by the time you're the 3rd person, I don't know. That's not always possible. I think maybe that's kind of unrealistic. I'm the kind of person who would run around and be like, well, what's in your toast?
Yeah.
And I've already written my toast. And, and then also if people are still interested in toast, by the time the last toast happened, especially if people have not been practicing and have not been keeping themselves short and concise and to the point and specific and concrete, people might be getting bored of toast. So it's nice to go early when people are still really listening.
Also, if they have a microphone, use it. I think people are resistant to microphones, but microphones are your friend. It means you don't have to shout. Everyone can actually hear you. always use a microphone if possible.
Yeah. I think people think that it seems kind of arrogant to use a microphone, but it's actually very considerate because otherwise people have to strain to hear you, especially people like older people perhaps, or people who are in the back, far away from the front. And it's very annoying when people are giving toast and you can't clearly hear it. So use the microphone.
And 2 other things, Gretchen. Don't drink before giving a toast.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Gretchen, if you're really nervous, but you have to do it, you're going to be, the best man or the maid of honor, you can take a beta blocker, which will block your voice from shaking and your hands from shaking, but will not in any way alter your mind. So do take a beta blocker.
You've used those and they were really helpful for you.
Yes.
And then I think it's actually nice, and I have to confess that I forget to do this, so this is a reminder to me, at the end of your 3-minute toast or whatever, to say so let's toast to Elizabeth, and actually have people raise their glasses, because there is something nice about let's toast, because a lot of times I just say it like it's a little speech.
Right.
But it actually is, if it is a toast, it's nice to say let's toast, because that's what it's supposed to be.
And then you don't have to say, that's it.
Right. It gives you a natural conclusion. Yeah.
It's an end.
Yeah. Now, listen, I have to say, you're cursed with a reputation of being really good at giving toasts, because everybody's always like, well, Lisa should give a toast. She's so good at giving toasts. So I feel like you give a lot of toasts.
Although I haven't lately, because I'm out of wedding season of life, the wedding season of life. But I miss it. I love toasts.
Okay, well, those are our do's. What are some of our do-nots?
Well, I think I said it earlier. Don't speak off the cuff. It can be very dangerous unless you're so good at speaking off the cuff. I can only think of 2 people in my life who I think should speak off the cuff.
And here's another risk, which is you have something prepared, but then you're up there in the moment and you decide to start riffing. Often that is not good.
Yes.
The thing that you feel the impulse to say in the moment, unprepared, that just popped into your mind, a lot of time is not your best material. If you prepared for something, be very cautious about at the last minute going rogue. And on that, don't drink until you've given your toast.
Right.
You might think it makes you more relaxed or less nervous, but it probably will make it actually harder to give the toast.
Yes.
So that's another reason to go early, because then you can sit down and have your glass of wine.
And Gretchen, don't say ChatGPT wrote it or helped you write it for the love of God, because that's going to make everyone feel like you're dialing it in. Even if you did use ChatGPT, certainly don't admit it.
And then it's not interesting.
Yeah.
It could be the most brilliant sonnet in the world. Nobody cares. And along the same lines, don't say, oh, I'm not prepared. Nobody wants you to do something if you're not prepared. That's not welcome information. They don't let you off the hook because you're like, oh, I haven't prepared anything. So prepare.
Yes. Do not say you don't know someone. Like often if there's a couple and you only know one of the people, don't say, well, I just met Gary last week, but he seems so great for Sandy. Just don't mention that you don't know Gary well.
Right. It feels very undermining.
Yes.
And, don't tell vulgar or embarrassing stories unless you are 1,000% confident that it is appropriate for the occasion. And then probably don't do it anyway. It's just a lot of people end up regretting things, or there ends up being some big kerfuffle. When you're getting to your feet to make a toast, it's probably not the time for those stories to be told.
Yes, especially when there's multiple generations present.
Well, the thing about making a toast is it is very uncomfortable for a lot of people. I think in one piece of research it said that people in the United States were more afraid of public speaking than they were afraid of death.
Yes.
So many, many people really, really dread public speaking. But it is something, like you say, that sometimes is sort of expected of us. This is tied to the idea of raising your hand. For a toast, you literally are raising your hand. You're rising to your feet. And getting comfortable with stepping forward when appropriate. It is a really lovely thing to do. People really do appreciate it. It is really nice to be able to talk about your feelings for other people. And so it is something that's worth doing. And it will make you happier in the end. And so you want to do it in a way that's really going to make you feel as comfortable going into it and afterward as possible.
Yes. And the more you do it, the easier it is, like all things.
Like all things. And it does elevate occasions. Like this is making me feel like the 4th of July, we're all planning to get together. I want to give like a 4th of July toast. It's family, but it does feel like more of an event. It's like part of what you can do to elevate an occasion.
Yes.
Yeah. So let us know if you do try this at home and how proposing a toast has worked for you. Do you have any do's or don'ts that you would add? This is something that a lot of people do and that a lot of people stress about. So the more advice we can get, the better. Let us know on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook. Drop us an email at podcast@gretchenrubin.com. Or as always, you can go to the show notes. This is happiercast.com/578.
Coming up, we've got a happiness hack related to snacking. But first, this break. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. March includes International Women's Day, which always makes me think about the women who quietly hold so much together. Think about all the moms who somehow manage to work, take care of their family and everyone's emotions with this steady presence that really shapes people's well-being. They often carry the invisible load, the planning, the caretaking, the remembering, and that can get heavy. Therapy can be a space to put some of that down, to set boundaries and focus on your own well-being for a change.
BetterHelp has more than 30,000 therapists who are fully licensed in the U.S. and follow a strict code of conduct. You fill out a short questionnaire and they match you based on your needs and preferences. And if it's not the right fit, you can switch at any time. Your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/GretchenRubin. That's betterhelp.com/GretchenRubin.
There is so much noise around weight loss right now, trends, opinions, medications. It can be hard to know what's actually right for you. That's why Weight Loss by Hers takes a more personalized approach. Through Hers, you connect with a medical provider who determines if treatment is right for you, and if prescribed, your treatment plan is designed to support your goals. Hers also goes beyond medication, offering ongoing care, dosage and medication adjustments as needed, lifestyle and nutrition tips, and access to 24/7 support.
And everything happens through convenient 100% online care with licensed providers who learn your story and create a personalized plan designed for healthy progress you can maintain. Feel like your best self again? Visit forhers.com/happier to get a personalized, affordable plan that gets you. That's forhers.com/happier. forhers.com/happier. Weight Loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Prescription required. See website for full details, important safety information, and restrictions.
It's time to take care of you. Who better to help you do that than the top voices in well-being on Audible? You can level up your parenting, career, finances, sleep, relationships, or mindset. Gretchen, you know how much I love audiobooks. I am the biggest audiobook fan. Recently, I listened to the book We Might Just Make It After All, My Best Friendship with Kate Spade by Elise Aarons, which I found so inspiring in terms of building my career with Sarah. You know, I love a book about business.
You can hear the latest from best-selling authors Brene Brown and Jay Shetty, Master Nutrition with Chef Jamie Oliver, hear nature sleep sounds from the sleeping world, or get on top of your finances with Rachel Rogers. Kickstart your well-being journey with your first audiobook free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/happier. Membership is $14.95 a month after 30 days. Cancel anytime. Audible. There's more to imagine when you listen.
Okay, Gretch, we are back with this week's happiness hack.
Okay. The research comes up using the example of snacking, but I think that there's a lot of ways to think about this research, and it's very funny. So what research shows is that we think we like variety better than we actually do. This is called the diversification bias. People tend to overestimate how much they like variety. Let's say you're choosing snacks for a whole week, right? So you're choosing not just for now or tomorrow, but for the future. When people are doing that, they will pick a variety because they think, oh, of course I would like a variety. But people overestimate their enjoyment of variety. In fact, we really prefer favorite experiences over and over rather than diversifying. And so you think, oh, I'll want a variety of snacks because otherwise I'll just get bored with my choices. But actually, they just want their favorite over and over.
Yeah, Gretch, this applies to me. Like, for instance, if I'm ordering protein shakes, I like the chocolate ones the best. But if I'm ordering some, I might order vanilla thinking I should have a variety. But then guess what? I never drink the vanilla. I always just get more chocolate.
You just want the chocolate. Well, and you turned me on to icebreakers, which are those sugar-free, well, they're mints, even if they're not mint flavored. And so I made this classic mistake. I was like, oh, I should try all these flavors. There's sparkling pineapple mango seltzer. That is an actual flavor. There's fruit and cool strawberry and fruit and cool watermelon and mixed berry sour and all these ones. And then I'm like, I like the cinnamon ones.
Yeah.
I always want the cinnamon ones. Now, of course, it's good sometimes to try new things because maybe you'll find something that you like better. But when you know the options, like you've tried chocolate and you've tried vanilla and you know you like the chocolate ones better than vanilla, don't think, oh, but maybe I'll get sick of chocolate. Probably that's the diversification bias. Probably you'll just want to have your favorite.
Yeah, and I bet this comes up in a lot of contexts where people think they want variety, but they really don't.
Yeah. And now for a Four Tendencies tip. So our listener, Isabel, sent this note. Hi, Gretchen and Elizabeth. I had a funny story of telling people about the Four Tendencies. I saw this TikTok video, and I'll include the link in the show notes, and laughed so much about her alternative way of getting stuff done on time. Her way, taking an edible and needing to finish an assignment before it hits or face real consequences. Seems like a rebel move if I've ever seen one. I commented about the Four Tendencies and got over 1,000 likes in a few days. I've attached the screenshot so you can have a laugh as well. And indeed, the TikTok video is somebody saying, arbitrary self-imposed deadlines don't work for me. So guess who just took an edible and needs to complete this assignment in the next 30 minutes or face real consequences? And it's this woman giving herself a thumbs up. And then the funny thing is somebody said in the comments, sometimes I don't let myself pee until I finish a task. Helps me actually get it done. So I just thought these were two strategies I had not considered. I thought they were very out of the box and funny.
Yes, we think we've heard it all, Gretch, but there's always another way to give yourself accountability.
Yes. And if you have no idea what we're talking about with rebels and accountability, go to GretchenRubin.com/quiz, take the Four Tendencies quiz. But these are the accountability strategies that we can all benefit perhaps from, most of all, obligers. But I loved seeing that. I laughed out loud.
Okay, Gretchen, next, we have a question for listeners.
Yeah, so this is a question that Julia posed, but I'm putting out a call for everybody to comment. And this is also tied to the creative out-of-the-box accountability strategies we just discussed. Julia says, I am reaching out to request your help with my obliger tendency. I have worked to create outside accountability for my exercise routine, but when it comes to things like bedtime, eating healthy consistently, and spending, it feels like I really need those outside limits to say no, but all outside limits seem fake or not real enough to hold me accountable. Do you have suggestions to create concrete accountability for areas like eating, bedtime, and finances? Listeners, what do you suggest? We want to do a big accountability roundup. What works for you? What are your super creative ways? Are there mantras that you tell yourself? How have you created accountability for yourself for things like eating, bedtime, and finances? We are going to do a big roundup. We want to hear everything that works for listeners.
Love all the accountability suggestions. I would also add, Gretch, this could be a place where reframing would help, which isn't accountability, but just saying to Julie, try reframing, like seeing bedtime, as you always say, like a luxury rather than an obligation.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we love reframing too. So send in any kind of reframing that you do, like the reframing of sirens. It's not that someone's in terrible danger. It's help is on the way. Yeah. So reframing, accountability strategies, send them to us.
All right, Gretch, coming up, I give myself a reading demerit, but first this break.
This episode of Happier with Gretchen Rubin is brought to you by Graza, makers of crazy fresh olive oil and other delicious things made with that same olive oil. Graza makes my olive oil of choice. It's high quality, single origin, single variety olive oil that's super fresh, never blended, and you can even see the harvest date on every bottle. They've got sizzle for everyday cooking like sautéing and roasting, drizzle for finishing dishes like salads or breads, and frizzle for high heat cooking like grilling or frying.
What I love is that it's everyday olive oil, but done way better. You can actually taste the freshness. And they've also launched olive oil mayo in stores, including original mayo, fancy mayo, and garlic aioli, which reminds me of the kind of rich aioli you get at restaurants. So head to graza.co and use Happier to get 10% off your first order of olive oil. And be sure to look for Graza mayo the next time you're at your local grocery store. Are you a trailblazer, a risk taker, someone with countless tales of epic adventure? Well, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm working on it. Even the boldest among us started small, daring themselves to reach greater goals each day. If you're looking to take on a challenge like that, the Defender is too. It's a vehicle built for those capable of great things, whether you're charting new territory or just escaping the city for the weekend.
The Defender, engineered to meet challenges head-on so you can explore with confidence. An icon reimagined, designed for a new generation of explorers. Choose from the Defender 90, 110, or 130, seating up to 8 adventurers. With a tough-tested exterior, a modern and functional interior, and intelligent tech like 3D surround cameras and the Pivi Pro infotainment system, every journey feels limitless. Because like you, the Defender is capable of great things. Build your Defender today at LandRoverUSA.com.
These days, I am all about quality over quantity, especially in my closet. If it is not well made and versatile, it is just not worth it to me. And that is why, Gretchen, I love Quince. The fabrics feel elevated, the cuts are thoughtful, and the pricing actually makes sense. You know, Gretchen, I can't live without my Quince Mongolian cashmere sweaters, but I also love their t-shirts. Their cotton poplin is crisp and holds its shape. I can wear everything season after season.
And I love that these pieces are consistently rated 4.5 to 5 stars by thousands of customers. Right now, go to quince.com/Gretchen for free shipping and 365-day returns. That's a full year to wear it and love it, and you will. Now available in Canada, too. Don't keep settling for clothes that don't last. Go to quince.com/Gretchen for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Gretchen. Okay, Elizabeth, it's time for demerits and gold stars, and we're in episode 578. That is an even-numbered episode, and that means that it is your turn to talk about a demerit.
Yes. So, Gretchen, this is a reading demerit. Listeners ask all the time, how do you read so much? Seems like you're always reading. And both of us do read a lot, especially you. But, Gretch, I have not been keeping up with my Wolf Hall reading. So I'm doing the slow read of Wolf Hall, the trilogy this year with Simon Hazel's Footnotes and Tangents. And I am like 3 weeks behind on Wolf Hall. So I'm just hoping that by stating it out loud, it'll get me to go and dive in and catch up, and then I can be on track.
Okay, so here's my question. As I recall, because as a family, we did the slow read of War and Peace last year, you didn't fall behind with War and Peace that I remember. Was there something that was different about last year than this year that you can put your finger on?
I think I did better with the War and Peace being one chapter a day. Every day, one chapter, whereas the Wolf Hall assignments are weekly. So it's that thing of something that can be done at any time is done at no time. Like I knew every day I had to get to War and Peace.
Yes.
Whereas Wolf Hall, I'm like, oh, I'll read it tomorrow. Oh, I'll read it on the plane. Oh, I know, I'll take it to bed with me tonight. And I just don't get it done. Then I get out of the habit. And when you're out of the habit, it's not front of mind, then it slips from my mind. And I'll go 3 days and go, oh my gosh, Wolf Hall.
Yeah.
So I need to double down because it is fantastic, of course.
Well, the thing about doing it one chapter a day is like if you weren't doing it, you could catch up very easily because the chapters were so short. Like even if you missed a whole week, there is something about doing something every day. And this is my thing about strangely, sometimes it's easier to do something every day than to do it some days or most days. And I think this is a good example of sometimes it is easier to do something every day. Also, there's something called the natural unit of one. And I don't know if this is a good example of it, but at least it's adjacent. Okay, so this is research showing that people will naturally take one. And they did this hilarious research with those big oversized pretzels?
Yeah.
That you can get that are like as big as your hand. So they had this apartment building and they had the pretzels out and they said, please take one. And people took a pretzel with these giant pretzels. And then they had the pretzels cut in half and the sign said, please take one. And people took a half.
Right.
And then they said a sign saying, please take one when they were cut into quarters. And people took a quarter because people will take one. And so they've shown if you're like eating a cookie, it could be a third as big and people will be like, I will eat a cookie. But if the cookie is a gigantic cookie, people are like, that is a cookie.
Right.
And so I think there's something like, I'm going to read a chapter a day. That feels like that is one.
Yes.
And there's something about that is one. I am doing one. That feels very natural and like, I'm reading one. I'm reading one. Whereas like, okay, read pages 75 through 110 by 7 days from now, it just doesn't click into your brain as easily.
Exactly. Maybe what I should do is read the whole week's worth of reading on like the first day that it's
right.
So that I have a schedule.
And then it's like one reading.
Yes. So maybe that
We'll
would
try
help.
that and report back and
Yes.
see if that works more easily.
Yes. First I have to catch up. Then I can try that.
Yeah.
All right, Gretchen, what is your gold star this week?
Okay, now this is a very funny gold star. So, we had this blizzard in New York City recently. We had a lot of snow, and then everybody thought, okay, the snow is kind of over. And then it was like even a bigger snow, a blizzard, and even the Metropolitan Museum closed. And I don't think that the Metropolitan Museum, I couldn't remember that it had closed since COVID, though maybe it had. But anyway, school was canceled and trains were canceled. So the fun thing was that two of my college roommates had been planning to come spend the night with me. One was in New Jersey visiting her in-laws. And so our other roommate who needed to do archival research timed it so that we could all be together for a night. And they were staying with me and, this is so fun, the three of us together. But then because of the snow, one of my roommates ended up having to stay 2 nights and one of my roommates ended up having to stay 3 nights. And the thing that was so fun was nobody got stressed about it. It was like, okay, well, all the trains are canceled. I guess we're here. And they borrowed my heavy weather gear and we went through a really long walk through Central Park with like thick snow falling and like snow everywhere. We were like, it's like Narnia, but like good Narnia, right? Not the eternal winter, but like beautiful Narnia. It was so beautiful. And it had that snow day quality where everything was sort of suspended. The city was so quiet. You couldn't go anywhere or do anything. And like for us, it just sort of worked out that nobody was freaking out about the fact that they couldn't get on the road. I just give them a gold star for just saying, okay, we're just going to stay here. We're just going to roll with it. We're all just going to have fun. And we did. And it was delightful.
Yeah. And I bet you'll remember it more than you would have remembered any other visit because it has such a surreal, special quality.
Well, it's one of my secrets of adulthood. Mishaps often make the best memories. And this thing like my train is fine. My train is still going. My train is still going. Nope, my train is canceled. Right. Yes. That level of unexpectedness will make it very memorable.
Yes.
So the resource for this week, I have just released a free how-to guide called Getting Specific. It is a printable worksheet to help you take a vague aim, like exercise more, and turn it into a very concrete, manageable action. Because when something is concrete and manageable, we're much more likely to follow through with it. Like, I'll walk for 20 minutes after lunch, because then you know exactly what you're expecting of yourself. You write the habit, you answer a few prompts, and you get very specific about what you're actually going to do. So if you would like to get that, it's at happiercast.com/resources. And what are we reading? Elizabeth, I think I know what you're reading.
Yes, I am reading Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel.
And I am reading Train Dreams by Dennis Johnson. And that's it for this episode of Happier. Remember to try this at home. Propose a toast. Let us know if you tried it and if it worked for you.
Thank you to our executive producer, Chuck Reed, and everyone at Lemonada. If you haven't subscribed to Lemonada Premium yet, now is the perfect time. Just tap that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or head to lemonadapremium.com to subscribe on any other app.
And here's your rhyming reminder. Love what you hear. Tell a peer. Well, that's got kind of a Wolf Hall feel to it, Elizabeth.
It does. Until next week, I'm Elizabeth Kraft.
And I'm Gretchen Rubin. Thanks for joining us. Onward and upward.
Gretch, one thing I love about Jack's school is that he has had to get up in front of people since kindergarten to public speak. So they really drill into that every single year. And I'm so glad.
So does he feel pretty comfortable, like standing and speaking in front of a group?
He does, shockingly so.
It's such a great thing to feel comfortable about that. It makes so many situations less anxiety producing.
Yeah.
Hi, Gretchen, Craig Robinson, and my little sister Michelle here. We host a new podcast called IMO with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson. We know you're the queen of giving advice, so we wanted to get a few tips from you.
You know, Gretchen, a lot of our listeners are going through some major life changes. What advice do you have for folks who are trying to stay grounded in the midst of major life transitions?
Craig and Michelle, I am so happy to be talking to you. Here are a few questions that might help us gain perspective. So consider questions like this. What activities take up my time but are not particularly useful or stimulating for me? Do I spend a lot of time on something that's important to someone else but is not very important to me? If I could magically change one habit in my life, what would I choose? And here's a question. Would I like to have more time in solitude, restorative solitude, or would I like to have more time with friends? You know, just thinking about questions like this can help us start to figure out how we might make our lives happier. With greater self-knowledge, we're better able to make hard decisions that reflect ourselves, our own nature, our own interests, our own values. In my own case, I have found that the more my life reflects my nature, the happier I get, and the more grounded I feel when I'm going through a period of major change or transition. For more great advice, search for IMO with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson wherever you get podcasts. You can listen to Issa Rae on letting go of certain friendships, Kiki Palmer on why disappointment is actually the key to career success, Seth and Lauren Rogan on caring for aging parents, and so many more.